God must also have someone who created God. So there must be a super God, and that super God also must have a creator, super God. This is the fallacy of the infinite regress. Because if you start with the presumption that everything has a creator, but if God is merciful, why do millions of children in the world suffer from hunger? In India, as I said, every second child is hungry. Why does God not give them food? Why do children suffer? There are so many places where children are shivering in the cold, hungry, homeless. If there's God, why does He not provide for them? Religion and science are diametrically opposed to each other. They are poles apart, and it is nonsense to say that they complement each other. And I want to give my reasons. See, religion says that there is a supernatural entity called God, which is immortal, permanent, all powerful, merciful, all good, etc. Science does not believe in any supernatural entities like God or angels or witches or fairies, and it does not believe that anything in the universe is permanent. Everything is in a flux, constantly changing according to certain laws which can be discovered by scientific research. So while religion believes that there's something which is permanent, that is God, science believes that nothing is permanent, everything is changing. Science believes that there are no supernatural entities like God or angels, fairies, demons, etc. There is no such thing as transmigration of the soul or day of resurrection. Science holds that the only reality is matter. But matter is in different forms and it is evolving. It is in motion according to certain laws which can be discovered by scientific research. Some people ask who created matter? And my answer is that matter is created by matter, though its form keeps changing. Matter always existed and will always exist, though its forms keep changing. So, those people who say, like in Christianity and Islam and so on, that there has to be a God because there has to be a creator of this universe. That presumes that everything must have a creator. Now, if everything has a creator, then that creator must also have a creator. God must also have someone who created God. Because if you say that everything must have a creator, then God must have a creator. So there must be a super God. And that super God also must have a creator, super God. Now this is known as the fallacy of the infinite regress. Logically, this is the fallacy of the infinite regress. Because if you start with the presumption that everything has a creator, then that creator too must have a creator. And that super creator must have a creator above him, a super creator, and so on. I believe that all religions are superstitions. The truth lies in science, though science is never final, unlike religion, which is final. What has been said in the Bible or Quran or the Ved is final. In science, nothing is final. But I believe that the truth lies in science, though nothing is final in science. By scientific research, new discoveries are made. For example, earlier there was no cure of tuberculosis. It was regarded a fatal disease. Now there's streptomycin and so many better medicines, so it is a curable disease. Similarly, many types of cancers today are regarded incurable, but after research, maybe in 15-20 years, a cure will be found. So what I'm trying to say is that many things which are unknown today may be known after a few years, and many things which were unknown earlier are known today. So science keeps advancing. It keeps changing. Earlier, people believed that smallpox is caused by a goddess, Mata Ai hai. In our society, it was said that Mata Ai when there was an epidemic of smallpox. Today, we know that smallpox is not due to any goddess. It is called by a virus, and it can be prevented by inoculation. Jenner, I think he was the scientist who discovered inoculation. People at one time thought that rain is caused by a god Indra. By सूखा पड़ जाता है, there's famine, and people thought that the god Indra is unhappy. You have angered him, therefore you have to propitiate him. You have to please him. Now we know that rain is not caused by a god. It is caused by clouds moving from low pressure area to a high pressure area. When the air is above the sea, during summer months, the sea is still cool. Bay of Bengal sea is cool. So the air above the sea is cool. So when something is cool, it contracts. Whereas, it becomes dense. No, it becomes dense. Now, whereas the land, say over UP or Delhi in summer, in May, June, because land is hot, so the air above land also is hot. And then everything, when it is heated, it expands, and therefore it becomes less dense. That is why the air moves from UP and Delhi, because here the air has become hot, and therefore it has expanded, and therefore it is rarer. So the things move from high pressure area to low pressure area. That is a law of nature. Everything moves from. Supposing I take this handkerchief and I drop it, now it goes down, because here it has a higher energy. Its potential energy was higher, and here the potential energy is less. Everything moves from a higher energy to a low energy. So this is the reason why rain is called. It has nothing to do with any god like Indra or something like that. So this belief that rain is caused by a god, it was also superstition. People at one time believed that Adam and Eve were created by God. Later, Darwin proved that there was no creation, it was evolution. As opposed to creationism in the Bible and Quran and so on. Darwin, the great scientist, established that there was evolution. Creatures evolved from lower levels to higher levels, from apes to human beings. Religion relies on faith and divine revelation. Science does not rely on faith and divine revelation. It relies on observation, experiment, and logical inferences by applying reason. Religion claims to say the final word, which cannot be changed. Thus, the Vedas, the Quran, the Bible cannot be changed. But in science, there is no final word. And scientific theories have been regularly tested and changed. For example, take one example. Newton, the great scientist, perhaps the greatest scientist the world has seen, Isaac Newton, he believed in what is known as the corpuscular theory, which means that light travels as particles. But in 1678, the Dutch scientist Huygens propagated the Fresnel principle, that light traveled as waves, not as particles. Much later, in 1900, Max Planck, the great German scientist, in his quantum theory, he said that light travels as a shower of particles, packets of energy, which were separated from each other, discrete. So that theory was against the wave theory. But then later the quantum mechanics was developed, which says that particles can be conceived of as waves and waves can be conceived of as particles. For example, there's diffraction, interference, etc. It was found that not just waves, but it is particles also which undergo diffraction, interference, and so on. So now present belief is that you can conceive of matter as either particle or as wave. This is the present theory, but let us see what happens in future. Religion says that the universe was created at a particular time by God, but Darwin has proved that there was evolution and that creatures have evolved. As I said, science believes the only reality in the universe is matter, or rather matter energy, because Einstein proved that energy and matter are interconvertible, like water and ice. They're two forms of the same thing. According to his formula, E is equal to mc squared. Religion says that God is merciful. But if God is merciful, why do millions of children in the world suffer from hunger? In India, as I said, every second child is hungry. Why does God not give them food? Why do children suffer? There are so many places where children are shivering in the cold, hungry, homeless. If there's God, why does He not provide for them? In fact, this was what was written in the great novel Brothers Karamazov by the great novelist Dostoevsky. Dostoevsky was a great Russian novelist. In his great novel called The Brothers Karamazov, the three brothers, and one of them is a religious priest. But his elder brother asks him that if there's God, why does He not provide for these poor children who are hungry, who don't have proper education, proper clothing, proper housing? If you say He's all merciful and all powerful, then He should help them. If God is all merciful, then why did He allow 6 million Jews to be sent to gas chambers by the Nazis? Where was God then? When these Jews were being transported to gas chambers, He should have stopped the Nazis from doing that. So is God merciful? Or if He's merciful, He's not powerful, He's a weak person, because He can't help people who are suffering. So He can't be both. He can't be good and also powerful. Why is there so much poverty, unemployment, malnourishment, sickness, etc., if God is good and powerful? Yes, it is true that many scientists believe in God, but that is because, you see, these scientists also originally came from religious families. And the ideas which are put in your mind at an early age cannot be easily removed. So, this only proves that scientific and unscientific ideas can coexist within the same human being. You see, because in childhood, when religious ideas are hammered into your head, it is not easy to remove those ideas. So even if you become a scientist, you may still keep believing in God. My own belief is that all religions are superstitions and false. The truth lies in science. And India must develop scientific thinking, scientific minds, which means a questioning mind, a logical mind, rational mind, a critical mind. This must be done on a large scale, whereas the reality is 95% people, as I told you, are backward, casteist, communal. I can give you one personal example. I come from a very religious family. My parents were extremely religious, always going to temples and so on. My father was a high court judge, but very religious. My wife is very religious. I live here in this flat with my wife. Whereas I am an atheist. As I say openly, I don't believe in God. But I respect my wife. She takes care of me. So if she tells me to go to a temple, Hanuman temple, I say, all right, come. Why should I quarrel with my wife? It is only a fool who quarrels with his wife. So I said, all right, let us go. There's a Hanuman temple nearby. When I reached there, she said, Hanuman ji ko namaste karo. Humne kaha, namaste Hanuman ji. She said, touch his feet. So I touch his feet. She says, put your head on Hanumanji's feet. I put my head on Hanumanji's feet. What do I lose? What I gain is peace in the house. And I respect my wife. She's a good woman. But as I said, most people in India are religious. They believe in all this. Well, I strongly support religious freedom. I'm not against religious freedom. I'm a strong supporter of religious freedom. Whatever anybody wants to believe in, he should have the right, and I will support his right to believe. But I don't. I'm against religious bigotry. Don't take religion to extremes. You practice your religion, no difficulty. But don't do religious bigotry. Religious bigotry should not be tolerated. But religious freedom is all right. If somebody wants to go to a temple, he should have the right to go to a temple. Muslims want to say namaz, they should have the right to say namaz. There's nothing wrong in that. But extremes in preaching religious hatred to divide people, inciting religious hatred, all this must not be tolerated. On this, I'm absolutely clear that we must hold religious freedom, but not tolerate religious extremes. Thank you.